How you doing? I'm Michael Bell, the voice of Duke.
Hi, this is Adrienne Palicki, Lady J from G.I. Joe.
Hey there, it's Rachel Nichols, aka Scarlet.
And if you're listening,
And you're listening to
And you are listening to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe with Greg and Jaren.
Yo,
Yo,
Joe!
Joe!
Got my G.I. Joes, got my comic books, watching cartoon episodes. Watch me go and box, dead stop, Jaren on his toes. Watch me go and lock a whole new world you never know. On my freaking block, on my block, anything Joe's. Roll my badger into work today. Yes, sir, no, sir. I can't call this work today. I'm too clutch. Ain't no pun intended. Call me sir today. Check the prices out. My collection feeling bird today. Anything Joe. 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 Joe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Anything Joe's, a collaborative journey through the world of G.I. Joe. My name is Greg Engel,
And I'm Jaren Decker.
and we'll be your host today. Today on Anything Joe's, we're going to take a quick look at two new G.I. Joe comics that have hit the market recently. One of them just today, as a matter of fact. It's the Duke #1 and Cobra Commander #1 miniseries from Skybound Entertainment. This is the, I guess, a spin-off of Void Rivals is how you would describe it. It's taking place in a completely new universe where G.I. Joe and Transformers both exist. Stop me if you've heard this before, but it's different this time. How? I don't know, because neither of us have read either of these issues. We'll be reading them potentially with you for the first time. Um, we're going to do the Duke comic first because it came out last week, and then we'll do Cobra Commander next. So if you are wanting to read the book before you listen to people talk about it, you can just kind of stop halfway through and come back at that time. If you aren't planning on picking it up or you don't care about spoilers, then stay tuned because we're going to go all in on it. With that in mind, let's take a look at the covers for Duke #1. We have a bevy of covers to choose from, as this seems to be the trend with this relaunch. Starting at the very beginning, let me pull the actual comic up. We have cover A by Tom Riley. This is kind of like the face of the book, in my opinion, because it's the most publicized image, and it is the A cover, so you would expect it to kind of be, the most seen. This is a really good, like, there's a very specific modern figure that I feel like this Duke is based off of. I don't know if he's like this throughout the book, but it really reminds me of a very specific modern mold. There's a Transformer in the back. Can you name that Transformer, Jaren?
Chuck?
What?
Chuck? Charles?
Chuck. That's it.
I don't
It's
know.
Charles Jet Plane. I actually don't
If I
know
had to
maybe.
guess, I would say Starscream. I feel
We're
like
gonna
that
need
would
a
be
third.
the.
We're gonna need a third host that knows a minimal amount of information about Transformers. The
If it's not
it has a
Starscream, I don't know who it is. There can't be any actual Transformer.
it has a EU above the image logo. Is that extended
Energon
universe? I don't.
Universe. Energon
Energon
Universe.
universe. Thank you. Okay,
Yeah.
so they got their own branding and everything like for
I
what's going
like it.
on. Second cover is cover B by David Aja. This is kind of like a simplified. It's got a kind of like a Sergeant Rock WW2 vibe to it, where
Mm,
he's like coming through the trenches. There's jet planes in the back. Cool cover. Real. Uh, I want to say minimalist because it's got such a blank background, but I don't think that does it justice. It's strong. I mean, it really does stand out as
yeah.
unique.
Like that one a whole lot.
The 1 in 10 cover is probably my favorite. It's a connecting cover by Tyler Boss and Jason Wordy. And it is the one where he is in a building and it's like he's jumping out the side.
Yeah, I think this one is absolutely my favorite cover of the three that we've seen so far.
It wasn't until recently that I learned that this is a connecting cover, that the second cover will have a continuation and there's like a Jeep or something they're going to extract him, I guess. But I like this cover a
Nice.
lot. This is the one cover. I'm glad it's just a 1 in 10 because this is a cover that I actually am thinking about seeking out. It's when you have this many covers, I feel like it's outlandish for me to try to get them all, especially when there's another book, the same week, and three of
Yeah.
threes out today also. So you really got to pick and choose your battles with these. I feel like. Well, the 1 in 25 cover by Steve Epting. I'm gonna say that's the one where he's running. It is, I think. Yes, where he's running and it's the like burst, the like cloud burst, or the like um how the I don't know what you call that. They have a term. The like flare burst that you see on the action card packaging. Anyway, it's that. Same design as this Duke. I want to say off the top of my head it's like V47 or something, but don't hold that to me unless it's right, in which case applaud me. But there's a very specific design of Duke that this really makes me think of. The 1 in 50 cover is by Andrea Sorrentino. This has got a real like Jay Lee Transformers G.I. Joe vibe. It's real dark, real gritty, and he's like in a torn down ruins of something. I like this even though it's got it's heavily Transformers influence, and that's always kind of a meh for me. Now we're getting to the big boys. 1 in 100 copy instead by John Boy Myers. That's this extremely like detailed Duke on top of a Starscream, we think. And he's like got his gun out. He's got a little bit of a wild eye, but the colors on this are popping. Like really a very vibrant cover. I like this a lot. Too bad it's preposterously expensive. Not as preposterously expensive as the one I actually want. The 1 in 250 variant done by comic book icon David Mack. David Mack is an artist that I love, have followed regularly since his work on Daredevil. I'm very excited to see him working on this property. I've never seen him do G.I. Joe art before. It's unfortunate that this book, I saw somebody selling this book for $400. Like that's impossible. I do hope that David sells these as a print at his shows. He makes a lot of covers into prints. So I feel like that's the only way I'm really going to be able to get my hands on one. I would love to have this book, but there's no way I can afford that. So that's the cover gallery. A lot to choose from, and even more when we get to the Cobra Commander part. But enough about fancy artwork on the cover. Let's see if it's got what it takes on the inside as well. Right at the front of the logo, Energon Universe. Thanks for spelling that out for me. Confidential, alias Duke. Written by Joshua Williamson. Artist is Tom Riley. This art makes me think a lot of the art from the G.I. Joe, I want to say Frontline. It's like one of the offshoots that they had a lot of side stories in. IDW art is really reminiscent of that. First beginning shots we see Duke. I'm assuming this is Duke. He's training on the battlefield. Shows him go through boot camp. Shows him, actually being a leader in the battlefield. Shows him helping people for humanitarian causes. There's like a flood sweeping things. Here he is piloting some kind of plane. And he says it's been from day one. It's been clear that you are a man of action. Big 2-page spread. This is a image that they used on the back of the book, or maybe it was one of the covers they were promoting. He's got like a kid in one hand, a gun in the other. He's popping off these bad guys on the hill. This is looking like a true champ. I got to admit. You believe your place is not in a command room, but in the trenches with the troops. You are one of the finest assets produced by the United States of America. Cut to Duke in a, hey, this is me, Chuckles getting questioned pose. He's in a dark room with the light shining through. He's got a scar that goes across his eye. None of that means jack now. What happened to you, Conrad? Insubordination, carelessness. You're barely in uniform. Frankly, I expected this of your brother, but never you. That would be a nod to, if we're going by movie continuity, Lieutenant Falcon is considered I think he's his stepbrother. But that's the only time we ever really get into it is in the animated movie. I don't know who else they'd be referencing unless they have a new character coming up. Cut to a placard on the desk that says, Hawk, regardless, we want you back. Your country needs you back. You just have to pass the psych eval and stop asking questions. Duke fights back a little bit, and it says, I saw what I saw. And we see some flashbacks. I'll be candid with you, Duke. You're turning into a walking American nightmare. Duke shouts back, you weren't there. We encountered a hostile jet that looked like one of ours. And then another big 2-page spread as we see Starscream transforming in mid-flight. He's fighting them it looks like they've bounced out of their jet, and he's just blowing them up. He's got a smile on his face. Pretty solid page. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I like the negative art that they used on Starscream.
Yes.
It looks, and I'm also sure that helmet is sweet on Duke.
Yeah, I like it as well. It's like got it's got like Televipor vibes. It's got his name printed right on it. And in this next shot, it's got you can see the reflection, like the reverse of it. You spoke of my actions on the battlefield, sir, and that's where I first met Tyler Frost. But he knew how to leave it behind. He had a family, a wife. We see Starscream takes his hands out as the guy is evacuating from the plane and just smashes them together in between the reflection of Duke's helmet. Pretty visceral, pretty wild. A baby boy, barely a year old. Duke's got some kind of jetpack on. He pulls his side piece out, and he starts fighting with Starscream. Shoots off I think that's maybe a flare. Doesn't look like a traditional gun, and I guess that kind of blinds it as he flies away from it, so he can escape. Whatever that thing was, it snuffed out Frosting's life like he was nothing, and it enjoyed it. Every night I try to sleep, but whenever I close my eyes, I see that thing. Hawk is kind of placating Duke's concerns here. It was an accident. We took care of his family. He's like, I was wrong. You're not ready. Take some time off and go on vacation. Duke is as volatile that it picks up a chair and throws it against the wall. He's like, "What did the black box show? Let me see the files." "I have followed every order to the best of my ability, sir, and right now my country's lying to me. I'm getting answers. I will know what that flying robot is, then I'm taking it out." Cut to 6 months later. I'm assuming this is still Duke because that he's got a very prominent scar, but he's grown a sweet beard and he's got a sweet jacket. He is looking like a pretty cool man of action. He's driving in a car. He's somewhere in D.C. He's got a bunch of UFO books in the passenger side as I guess he's going down the rabbit hole of transforming robots. Cool little book of a brain that says Mindbender on it. That's a nice little nod to the G.I. Joe universe. He's walking in his or someone's apartment, and as it is, a voice off screen says, "I saw one too. On the freeway, this massive truck just stood up. It was intense." We're at some kind of convention for weirdos, basically. There's a dude wearing an anime shirt. They're all talking about, robots that transform or other weird supernatural aspects, basically people that are off the rocker. Duke acknowledges this and says to himself, "This was a mistake." An older woman approaches him and says, "Leaving so soon?" Dr. Adele Burkhart, which we would all know from G.I. Joe #1, the physicist that averted world destruction by, I don't remember. Go and watch that episode and remind me. It's too convoluted. Duke and Adele go off on their own, and she has a little secret lab. She wants to show him some stuff. "For years, I've dedicated my life to finding a new clean energy source. I believed we would find it in the stars." "Aliens?" Duke questions. "I started to ask questions about their plans. People I worked for didn't like that. I know the feeling. After I left, the entire project was shut down. My life's work was destroyed as if it never existed. This was all I was able to save. If anyone is ever able to capture that power and use it for war, the consequences would be devastating." So again, reminiscent of Dr. Burkhart's role in G.I. Joe #1. "The creation of new kinds of weapons unlike the world has ever seen. Well, if you collect G.I. Joe toys, you'll recognize this right away. This is the pieces that are required to build the mass device, or sometimes the weather dominator. The pieces were interchangeable. But that's a verbatim sketch I know very well because that's exactly how the toy looked, and I'm assuming that's how it looks in the cartoon as well. I just know the toy's a little better off the top of my head. I believe this is the new apple from the tree of knowledge, and there is a snake hoping someone takes a bite out of it."
Wink.
Duke commiserates. "Then I saw a robot in the sky. Everyone said I was crazy. It made me question everything. But you gave me hope that I'm not as crazy as I thought." Dr. Burkhart puts her hand on his shoulder. "This is why I reached out to you. After hearing your story, I believe you've stumbled onto a high-tech arms race. And the company on the edge of that race is," cut to, "Mars Industries." Cool looking, Mars Industries looks a lot like a sand crawler, Jaren. I don't know if you also make that visual connection, but
Oh, yeah.
it's got a real jutty edge of it. You don't see Mars, the official corporation, very often. It's usually like a military warehouse or just weapons on the field. But here we see this is the classified logo is how I look at it, and it looks awesome. I don't know if I've ever put this together before, but it actually looks like the apex of a planet behind it, like Mars, the planet is the sun is rising behind it. I don't know if it's always been like that, but that looks awesome. The best I mean, Mars did not have a logo for a decade, so it's cool to see it look like that. "The family who runs it is incredibly secretive. It's been impossible to get a look at what goes on inside. Maybe I'll have better luck. I've extracted people from some of the most dangerous war zones in the world. I can get into some stuffy corporate office." Cut to the tunnels underneath. Duke has made another outfit change for your V10 classified Duke coming in 2025. He's got the typical Tom Clancy Splinter Cell gear on, just tight black vest or like I don't know what you call those, like skin tight shirts, and he's got like a black hoodie on. He's here for covert ops, and it shows.
He's
He
doing his
repels
best
down it.
Snake Eyes impersonation, really.
That's nailed it. He repels down an elevator shaft. He disables a camera. He goes through a little vent. There's some armored guards, which we can't get a good close-up look at, but it's clearly not the Iron Grenadiers that we know and love. It's been redesigned quite a bit. It has a strong nullifier vibe from this distance, but I don't think that that's what they were going for. Duke sneaks up some stairs, takes a peek around the corner, and then says, "Well, I'll be damned." It's a huge warehouse, and they're making all kinds of stuff. What's that? A snake armor? Yeah, a bunch of them. What's that? A his tank on the ground? Yep. And only room for one person. Not comic accurate. They got the little jet glider. I can't think of the name of it. There's some. I'm guessing that's the cat. I can name the cat, the Cobra tank, but I can't name the stupid little flyer. Lots of people on the floor like doing inspections, etc. Duke's just like, what? There's a guy inside this his tank. He's giving the like Cobra salute, sort of. We could go either way. He could be saying hi, but it'd be more shocking to see somebody give the Cobra salute, I think. Duke is confused. What are they? Somebody grabs him from behind the neck with his arm in the air. It's Mercer. We know this from the cover. Not besides the fact that he has the Mars Industry logo on it. I'll recognize a Mercer anywhere. Mercer says, "You don't know, bleep," with his fist in the air. Starts to fight with Duke. Duke counters him. Does a little headbutt. Mercer's nose is bleeding. He just kind of laughs it off. They have a big panel. Mercer looks huge compared to Duke, but that clearly works to his disadvantage because Duke is very fast. He's blocking shots. I mean, they're pretty evenly matched based on this encounter. He gets slipped up and then thrown into the window overseeing the like production facility. Mercer gets up anyway. Duke yells at him, "Stay down, soldier." It's too late. All these guards have rushed in. Now, this is a good look at what I'm going to call them Iron Grenadiers, but they could just be straight up Mars security. I don't know how deep down into the Mars system they go. They've got like nightsticks. They're all over this guy. I mean, there's a dozen of these guys easy. Duke's fighting back anyway. Elbows one of them in the like little face mask. "Get off of me!" And then Mercer comes up and whoa, hits him right in the gut. Duke goes down. They overwhelm him. I mean, a dozen is a small estimate. This page is full of dudes just holding him down. They're dragging Duke out of the facility. "You built it." "I knew it." Duke hits the ground outside. They yell, "Nut job." So Duke obviously thinks they built this gigantic transforming robot, which, based on the toy line that we've been getting recently, it's not hard to believe. Oh, that his tank transforms into a Megatron. Mercer kind of laughs him off. "You'll be lucky if the only thing we do is call the cops." "Go ahead." A voice in the earpiece says, "Go easy, Mercer. Just let him go." "He's seen too much, boss. Let me kill him now." This big, like, metal statue that you're now seeing is Destro. He holds a big shield. His eye lights up red. Cut to the man himself, Destro, and it's basically a very classic outfit. He's sitting in a throne. Got a real traditional bad guy layer going on. Wall of monitors, check. Weird cheetah thing, check. Bizarre Egyptian torture device, check. "Calm down. If my family killed everyone who poked their nose into our business, we would have gone under centuries ago. If he were to disappear or die, it would draw too much attention to our operation. It would turn us into the target. There are other ways to deal with our curious friend." On that wall of monitors, we see one comes up. It says Conrad Hauser, aka Duke, both in his civilian and his military attire. On the other page, we see Dr. Adele Burkhart, looking pretty young there, actually. Dr. Adele's pretty old when we saw her in the Marvel run. Duke's outside. He's beat up, but he's moving again. He's on the phone. "Hey, it's me. I saw it. Proof. A major military industrial complex caught me breaking into its headquarters, and they didn't arrest me. I never identified myself, so they have no idea if I'm a thief, a reporter, whatever, and they just let me walk. That has to say something. Call me back when you..." Duke turns and the door is off the hinges. He puts the phone away and is terrified to see that when he walks inside, everyone inside has been gunned down. They are all dead. All of the conspiracy theorists.
Even anime shirt guy.
Yeah, even anime shirt guy. I mean, so 1+1 to whoever did that. Duke surveys the room, and from off panel we hear someone weakly say "Conrad," and it is Dr. Burkhart. She's crawling towards him with a trail of blood. "I was right. Dr. Burkhart, what happened? Who did this?" "A man. He said he was a believer. He flew all the way from Australia. He stole everything, all my research. But he missed this." She has a phone-shaped device. She hands it to Duke. Save it, Doc. We need to get you to a hospital. We're out of time. Find the truth. Just as she kind of starts to fade away, a bunch of heavily armed military, like not, their things say police, but they're like a SWAT team S plus plus grade here. And there's again close to a dozen of these guys, all guns trained on him. Freeze! Dude goes hands up. Whoa, boys, I'm unarmed. We're on the same side here. Just let me get my ID. They immediately are like, he's got a gun, and just start opening fire on him. Duke dives for cover, is avoiding all the guns. He makes a break for it. He runs up the stairs. They're right behind him. This is basically like the cover to the one I was talking about. That's a connecting one. He runs for the window. He does an iconic and great action, like breaks through the window out of the second floor. They're stunned. No way he survived that. I thought Duke was just turning into a loose cannon, but now he has a mission. He'll never stop. Nothing will get in his way. And once Duke has made up his mind, I just didn't. Yes, sir. I should have known better. Hawk is outside of this chopper. He's on the phone with someone. This is my mess. I hold full responsibility. I'll clean it up. One of our own has become a problem. Duke has gone rogue, Krieger. That's Courtney Krieger. We know her as Cover Girl, of course. Civilian lives have been taken and he's on the run. Duke is one of the best, Colonel Hawk. Finding him will be impossible. Not if we bring in the best to hunt him down. If we want to track an American hero, we get American heroes. Big two-page split. One page we see Stalker running through the jungle. He's got a machete in his hand. Our boy himself. And then the second panel we can see our other main man, Rock and Roll. Got his gun out, just feeding the belt, just gunning some unknown enemy down. We'd already confirmed this from previous covers, but this Rock and Roll has tattoos. I'll back that up with Stalker's scarf. These are classified-based designs, clearly. So, yeah, next issue, Man on the Run. We got two of our Joes going after one of our others. Pretty strong issue, Jaren. Without getting into it too much before we move on to Cobra Commander, you have initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, starting all the way back at the cover, I love that they are differentiating what is part of the Energon universe and what is not. You have the logo on the front. You open up to the first page. It's got a file card of here's Duke. On the top of that is a very big thing that says Energon Universe, and that's something that's not on the Real American Hero run. You know, that's not on 300-01. That series. So I think that's a great job of differentiating. You know, hopefully as it's out there more, people will be able to look on the shelf and be like, oh, this is part of that. And if they like it, like me, and they start picking it up, I mean, if they actually continue to crossover, I might have to start reading the Transformers one again. Like, you know, you never know. But such a cool start to the series, and something that at least I'm not familiar with. The only real Duke exposure I have is the movie, not the cartoon movie either. The Channing Tatum movie. So it's kind of cool to see how this is all progressing. But I do like it is weird to me that they're like, yeah, we're gonna hunt down Duke, and they get Rock and Roll. Like, is he the one that you want tracking and like hunting someone down? If you wanted to like kill someone, sure, yeah, he's just gonna pull the trigger. But like Stalker, I get, but Rock and Roll, oh well. At least we get to see his tattoos, and I get to hear your opinion on them when it happens.
Speaking of, I don't actually have an issue with them using classified designs in the classified world. I have an issue with me having a classified figure that is not a V1 version, and I try to. Some stuff I'm okay with, some stuff I'm not. And I guess I could remove those tattoos. It's not a big deal. I just feel like they're going overboard, and I want them to start pumping the brakes now before every character has one. Speaking of Duke being in the movie, it's interesting to see Cover Girl here as being a sort of, she's sort of like, it's not a secretary, but sort of like Hawk's go-to. Hawk like relays important info to her. She is kind of like a secretary in the first movie, which is what it makes me think of. But I like the idea that Cover Girl is sort of this like she is the like person that takes all of Hawk's top secret info and delegates it and makes it go. I don't know. It's just a cool little teamwork vibe for me. Agree that Rock and Roll is an interesting choice to bring in for the hunt. I mean, I think Stalker is perfect, but
yeah,
I also get the vibe that they are not wanting to overpopulate the universe too quickly, so they're kind of introducing a little bit here and a little bit there. I did not honestly expect this book to have any other Joes in it, quite frankly, so I'm surprised to see what we did. I did not think Mercer would be in this, because I'm I know it plays into Cobra Commander, the Cobra Commander book at some point. I just don't know how much. And it's cool to see him portrayed like this. Mercer is a character that we really do not get, have not gotten a lot of coverage of ever. Probably the animated movie is the one thing where he gets a lot of like showcase, but he's a really popular character. He's the only character from that movie. He came out in a 3-pack as like Slaughter's, not Marauders, Slaughter's Renegades. And he was the only figure that got a V2 where they completely changed him. But he carries his popularity well, and so it's cool to see him in this.
I really like Mercer. I think it'll be really cool to see when we get him as a figure. That's one that is like, and seeing this design, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But obviously, this is his Mars, so maybe they'll wait until he becomes an actual Cobra, and then maybe hopefully he turns. I guess we'll see. But any figure that they want to give, especially how huge they're making him look, put him on like the same body as like a Roadblock or Gung Ho, someone like that. Someone just absolutely jacked would be really cool.
I agree. All right, let's dive into Cobra Commander number 1 and see what else we can learn about this mysterious Energon universe. No surprise that the Cobra Commander number 1 has a similar bevy of similar covers, and let's take a look at them real quick as well. Cover A is by Andrea Milani and Annalisa Leone, and I like this cover a lot. I think we discovered that's the Ark from the Transformers in the back. He's kind of crawling out of like a steak pit, and there's snakes in there. I love the green on this. This is a strong cover. I can see why they would lead with it. Cover B is by David Aja. David Aja also did a Duke cover. I'm assuming there's a lot of double dippers here. Has that same like minimalist white back. There's like a lot of Kirby.
So
The Kirby
cool.
Crackle is here with all the machinery. I don't like this one as much as I like the Duke, but I do still think it's appealing on a certain level.
Oh, see, I like this one actually even more. I love the like blank space look of it. It was really cool.
Oh, right on. Cover C is the part of the connecting image by Chris Burnham. I like this one a lot too. It's got like real dark horse, like old school 90s comic energy. He's also got his like old Snake vibe, which is what he wore when he was in the Transformers cartoon, the long jacket and the like fedora, because that's a perfect disguise. The faceplate doesn't. Everybody looks right past that, I'm sure. Cover D is the 1 in 25 copy incentive by Steve Epstein. And that is the other, like, Sunburst, I think is what it's called in the back. It looks basically like an original file card, or not a file card, but the actual hardback. And then another classic, like Cobra Commander with his fist out. Looks really good. It looks like a painting to me, but what do I know? Sharp, yeah. Not as creative as some of the others, but still an extremely good look. The 1 in 50 cover is by Andrea Sorrentino. It is a close-up of Cobra Commander's jacket, and in his hand he has a snake. It's very realistic looking. You can't really see Cobra Commander's faceplate because the logo covers it up, but really a very, very cool cover. This also has that like Jay Lee Transformers G.I. Joe vibe to it, in my opinion.
Dang, this is one I want, but I don't want to track down anything
Good
special.
luck with that. If you thought that was expensive, check out the 1 in 100 copy by John Boy Myers. I'm going to assume that's the spoiler cover because I can't. It's the only one that seems to be unclaimed, and since today is release day, I I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. So how about instead of that, we just look at the spoiler and we'll figure it out for ourselves. Lastly is of course the 1 in 250, which is another David Mack cover. It's Cobra Commander on the cover with the Cobra logo, with the Decepticon logo kind of like transparent on his face. Again, I don't like this as much as the Duke one, but I would still love to get this one. But 1 in 250, it's the kiss of death as far as I'm concerned. But still, overall, a great like assortment of covers. I'd like to get all of the like affordable ones that I can from this run. It helps that this is a mini series, so even if they do this many covers for every book, I can kind of still rationalize it a little bit, like there's an end in sight. Whereas 303s, or the regular Real American Hero, they did 5 covers every single book. I'm never going to be able to afford that.
Yep.
All right, so let's get into Cobra Commander number 1 and see if we can figure out a little bit more about what's going on in this universe. This book is also written by Joshua Williamson, and it's drawn by Andrea Milana. And it opens up at a rest stop called No Man's Land, which we assume is in the middle of nowhere. There's a heavy snow going on. We see a lot of truckers. Looks like a nice little pub, restaurant type place. There's a creak at the door, and we see a silhouette of a man. Everyone turns to look at him. It's the man Cobra Commander himself, and he is, in fact, in his old Snake outfit, the trench coat and the fedora, but the same old metal hat. They, of course, do what anyone would expect. They continue to look at him. Some of the patrons are kind of like laughing and joking at him behind his back. The bartender greets him. "What'll be there, stranger? I have need of a vehicle. Speak now if you can be of assistance." This, of course, like anybody in a bar, is going to light up on this guy. "How the hell you get all the way out here without a truck, buddy? And what's with the lisp?" He slaps him on the back. "Dang circus is in town and no one told us, boys. Good luck, it's cold out there." Dude heads out the door and Cobra Commander immediately follows him out. This dude is going up against a pretty slick looking snowmobile. If that's what snowmobiles look like, sign me up. I'm headed to Alaska. It looks like he customized it to look like Knight Rider. It has like a red stripe down it and everything. It's
He's
tight.
got good taste.
Dude goes up to the car, and from behind you hear the Cobra Commander say, "Your vehicle will do nicely." Now, what the heck is that supposed to mean? What you got there, weirdo? Some kind of toy? Just a cut away to the restaurant itself. Lots of crazy noises. A huge blood-curdling scream, and then a huge panel of just blood splashing off panel. "Hey, Jimmy, you forgot to pay." The bartender walks outside. "Can't believe you just take off like that. His truck is gone." And then they see an outstretched hand of Jimmy and a trail of blood, which ends in the Cobra logo. You think Cobra Commander took the time to draw that? That seems very, I don't know, a little borderline criminal, sadistic.
He was waiting on it to warm up. He like started the snowmobile. And I got time.
That
Let's
checks
doodle.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, my calling card if it doesn't thaw. Cut to big 2-page spread says before. Huge alien planet, real something out of a true science fiction book. We see lots of families, and it's got like, I don't know, a kind of a Krypton vibe. Everybody's chipping in and working together, and it's a big festival, and somebody's picking some weird plants that who knows what they do with. And this guy's like in Avatar. He's riding a big manta ray up in the sky. It's crazy, folks. Science fiction world. There's suddenly a huge explosion on this planet, and everybody starts running. They shout at the top of their lungs, "Cobra, la 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 la!" Now, Jaren, you haven't seen the G.I. Joe animated movie.
Nope.
And this is one of the few references. It's the only reference to Cobra Law, which means we need to put it on our docket of things to watch together. To very briefly summarize the G.I. Joe animated movie, it hypothesizes the theory that Cobra Commander is actually from an alien planet called Cobra Law, and he was sent there by a guy named Globulus, who's like a half snake, half man. And they run this race of people that are, it's hard to explain, they're very humanoid, but they have different distinguishing features. Cobra Commander was a scientist. He disfigures his face and gets himself a bunch of eyeballs. And I don't know if that's why he got sent away or not. But anyway, it's a radically different take on the continuity of G.I. Joe, specifically Cobra Commander's origin within it. And it's exclusive to the cartoon. So it's interesting to see it referenced here. And it certainly implies that there's more of that to come, most likely. So it's important that you understand at least the basic premise of it, and I'll fill in any details as we go.
Okay.
These people are in the like the Hall of Krypton, basically. "Word of the monstrosity we brought into our city leaked, and our people demand answers. Guards, protect us. Don't let them inside. We're only scientists. The mob has grown too large. They will breach any moment. Tons of people outside this dome trying to get inside." Now that we see these people close up, it is truly what the citizens of Cobra Law in the animated movie looked like. Very humanoid, a very light blue skin tone. They wear some kind of like 80s sci-fi armor, basically. "We must retreat." From off screen, there's a bullet shot and this guy goes down. No one retreats. Now, this is a surprise. This is Cobra Commander like V4 armor. It is well underutilized in the line and is absolutely one of my favorites. This is true deep cut spoon feeding for me. This guy is holding he's got a gun in his hand. He's aiming down. This looks awesome. I am super, super stoked when they take stuff that is underutilized and start mixing it in them with the mythology.
This
No
is
one
the figure
retreats.
that has like the see-through face mask, right?
Yeah, you could pry the actual faceplate off, and there was a molded face underneath it. He shoots this guy again on the ground. These intruders may not see us as threats because we are scientists, but many things can be used as a weapon, and science is one of them. Our main goal now is to protect our research. Q2, there's a big metal vault, very science fiction-y and futuristic looking. Open the doors, let the fools come. Here, this spore will deal with them. I created it in these very labs. The doors open up, and here come the mobs. They're running in, yelling. Kill the first who try to surrender as a warning to those who follow. He throws this little red spore out. It explodes, and the people are like, oh, it burns. A woman asks, should I throw this as well? You fool! It explodes in her hand, and then suddenly there's chaos. The people trying to get in are getting in. We see the man, who I'm going to assume is Cobra Commander, gets caught in the explosion. That removable helmet that we just talked a lot about shatters, damages his face, I would assume, to some degree. Sure enough, we cut to an undetermined point in the future. We see like a jar of these three snakes all entwined together. Cobra Commander's body is pretty jacked up. It's missing a part of his shoulder. His face is all burnt and distorted. He's got weird spores all over him. I don't know if those are helping him or healing or hurting him, but when these snakes crawl out and are biting on Cobra Commander's body, injecting their super weird sci-fi venom into him. We see him all bandaged up. And he's hooked up to some alien respirator. There's a weird glowing fish. Like, I can't describe all this science fiction crap. He's got some kind of weird mark above his eye. I don't know if that's from the...
Like another eye?
Yeah, it kind of actually makes me think of there's a piece that Globulus wears over his eye that looks a lot like that. I don't know if it's... But it's above the bandages is what makes me question it. He looks over, and there is the iconic Cobra Commander faceplate, the one we all know and love. He looks at it. He's got one bandaged eye, but again, there is something that looks like an eye above that. I assume we'll understand that more soon. Someone off frame says, "Put it on. Hide your shame. You have been summoned." Another great callback. It's Pythona. Pythona is a character that was introduced in the G.I. Joe animated movie. She serves as the bodyguard to Globulus. She has nails that come out like spikes. She is one of the first people we see in the animated movie. She's like summoned to bring Serpentor back. She rules. We also see the classic Cobra Law guard. This is what the actual Cobra Law guards in the G.I. Joe animated movie look like. This is what the figure looks like. The only difference I'm seeing here is that in the movie and the figures, their swords are these crazy looking saw blades, and they've streamlined those out for something a little bit more practical, which I like. I like the way these guys look a lot. They gave them capes also, which I think looks cool. I'm a big fan of all this. I did not know going into this that there would be Cobra Law elements, that we would be taking the sci-fi route. So this is pretty exciting for me.
I feel like that fits with the Energon universe.
I guess you're right.
Brings them off of Earth and kind of
right. It makes the most sense.
Yeah.
If you're implementing the Transformers, you're already saying we are existing at a pre-science fiction world, so why not just throw some fantasy in there as well? I get it. I have no problems with it. It needs to have somewhere to live, so this is as good a place as any. I guess I would also rationalize that this comic is bringing in maybe more readers than ever before. Lots of people that do not read G.I. Joe on the regular. This is a great callback nostalgia-wise for them, people that remember the movie and maybe fell off from then on. So I think it's a good tactic. I know there's going to be a lot of G.I. Joe fans that's going to turn off, but people that like this stuff have been hungry for this for a long time, and I'm happy for them. And I'm one of them. But I like it all. Cobra Commander's fully suited up in his actual Cobra Commander outfit, which is cool. He's walking through the city of Cobra Law. People are all looking at him because they know what he's done or what he's been through, etc., etc. There's this wall that opens up. It's like teeth, and another Cobra Law thing from the movie. I found you, lost in the outside world, aimless, searching for meaning, and brought you to Cobra Law. Gave you a purpose. And this is how you repay me? Our people worship only the organic, the gifts of the flesh and the natural order of life. We're seeing a huge snake throne, and there's a guy dressed in, he's covered in complete by this red like shawl or cloak. We see no details other than he has two hands, which rules out Globulus, because Globulus has one gigantic lizard hand. and he is Caucasian. He's not like a lizard or a Cobra Law person, like he would have blue skin then. Numerous science officers died while trying to harvest from the specimen. And yet you lived. You managed to not only interrogate it, but also find uses for its blasphemous technology. And I should be respected for that, Lord Globulus. All right, well, retract everything I just said. I guess he's just not a lizard guy yet. So we do get our first look at Globulus up close, so we can see that he does have that iconic eye patch thing that I was just referencing with Cobra Commander's face. It like covers one of his natural eyes. Nobody knows why. I know you instigated the riots. I will not tolerate your betrayal. I healed you because I wanted to watch you die with my own eyes. In this throne room, we see Cobra Commander is flanked by 3 Cobra Law guardsmen. They all have their swords drawn. These are again a different sword than what we just saw. In the previous one, they're like a spear. This is like more like a sickle, I would call it. Again, looks reminiscent to that original blade, but is still much more practical. They draw down on Cobra Commander right away, and Cobra Commander drops to the ground and rolls. He gets in a fight and is doing pretty good for himself, considering what we normally think of with Cobra Commander being kind of an incompetent fool. He's kind of got it together. Regardless of what happened in the science compound, I'm not much of a fighter, my lord. I prefer to let others do the fighting for me. He grips his hands, and when he opens them, he's got these little, like, mechanical parasite bugs. And they come to life, and they strike out. Fear and hate are useful in keeping the citizens in line. You have proven that countless times. The Cobra Law guards are like swiping at the bugs, but they're too small. They go right through their guard, and they grab onto their mask and start like, I don't know, maybe... I mean, who knows? It's fantasy, right? It's whatever you want it to be. I'm assuming they are either injecting something into them or they're damaging their, like, however they breathe through that apparatus. As much as it pains me to say, civil war is imminent. Something must be done. But as you can see, I've found a way to strengthen Cobra Law. These same bugs have, like, barreled a hole through the Cobra Law guards and burst out the other side. This is another great shot. We have never seen a Cobra Law guardsman without their helmet on. You can only assume to this point that the Cobra Law people that we've seen are the same people that serve in the Cobra Law Guard, but that's not factual. They could be science experiments bred specifically to be the guards. They could be something completely different. This comic book is stating that most likely they are Cobra Law citizens, which I think is a very interesting take. My ways may be underhanded, but everything was done in your name. What you see here is just a taste of what is possible. To further your control of the world and give you what you want, you must trust me. My fate and the fate of Cobra Law is in your hands now, my lord. Globulus from underneath his cloak has just got a huge grin on his face. He is clearly, that is enough to win him over. The door is open and Cobra Commander walks out by himself. The door seals shut behind him. He walks into the room that we saw before he kind of referenced that they were messing with. As it opens, he says, "You probably hoped I was dead. Too bad." Big 2-page spread. The blasphemous evil that they've captured is none other than Megatron himself. They're holding him hostage, and I guess that's what they've been implementing this mysterious new technology from. You have served me well, machine. I was honest with Globulus. My loyalty to him and Cobra Law is steadfast. After each of our sessions, I did my duty and reported my findings. Except, the data within you paints a fractured story of the galaxies beyond ours. Cobra Law is advanced for a civilization on Earth, but it pales in comparison to what weight and space. The other scientists thought they could get you to talk. They tried to get to know you. But I figured out a way to rip it from your very soul. He switches something on this big machine. Megatron lights up with electricity and yells out in pain. Your sacrifice has shown me that there are other energy signatures similar to yours in the outside world. I will track them down and learn about the energy that fuels you. It does not merely power, it is transformative. Once I unlock its secrets, Globulus will have his army that I will lead. And no force in Cobra Law or in any world will be able to stop us. Megatron adjusts himself as Cobra Commander leaves the room. He sits in silence for a second, and then he too has a mysterious smile that lights his face. Cut to now. The snow the little snow speeder has, no, it's a Star Wars term. See what happens when I talk to you too much, Jaren. The snowmobilists, the snowmobiles come to a stop at just at a railing on a turn on the highway. Cobra Commander is watching the sunrise in his outfit. First, you wander off on your own and kill a human, and now you stop here for no reason. My orders are to keep you safe while you finish your mission. We should be on the move, Commander. We see a guy in a long coat with a green trucker hat on. Looks like he's got a big yellow beard. Kind of got rock and roll vibes, although I wouldn't think that that's him. My reasons are too great for your small mind to understand. Globulus insisted you join me on my mission, but I will not entertain your foolish questionings, Grunt. Now drive. You should take on a disguise as well. It will draw less attention. I want the attention. I want the imbeciles to reveal themselves to me as we make our way through their world. We have a long journey ahead of us, and by the time we are done, he presses something on his wrist, and it's like a little hologram of the Earth comes up. This world will fear the name of Cobra Commander. Cut to a swamp somewhere. We see a little shack on the bayou. As we get closer, there's something written on the door, and as we zoom in on the door, we see it says Dreadnoks with the big Dreadnought logo emblazoned on it. The end. That was a wild ride. So, as we wrap up, you have any quick takes on the thoughts on this is exactly what I was complaining about with Void Rivals. I was like, there's really not a lot of G.I. Joe stuff going on. And just in these two books, there's a lot of G.I. Joe stuff going on. I'm interested in the fact that what's happening in these two books is considerably disconnected from one another based on what I was going to assume. Duke is looking into something completely different than what Cobra Commander is doing. And I guess it's not surprising that, there is no Cobra basically on Earth at this time. And the Cobra that we have come to know over the years is not the money hungry, power hungry, warfare guys. They're science fiction nutsos with high brand technology and Pythona for God's sake. So I'm very, very interested in seeing where this goes. I'm interested in how these two 6-issue miniseries will lay the groundwork. How quickly will these things be integrated into Void Rivals, or will there be another standalone G.I. Joe universe book that we don't know about? Like, will they continue to do miniseries like these, or will we see a standalone based on the foundation that these books are building?
I think it's really cool, and like when you think about if you're wanting more content in the G.I. Joe universe, Cobra is this. It's a hard point to navigate. You can't just make them a terrorist organization. Then that rules out. Okay, well you can't have a kid show with a terrorist organization trying to shoot people. So kind of integrating Cobra Law and the little bit that I know about them is a very unique way. Oh well, they're aliens. We can shoot them all we want. Who cares? They're aliens. So it does give you. It kind of opens up those options. I am excited to see. I really enjoy Void Rivals so far. I'm excited to see how they bring that into the fold. I hope that they start a whole new series of ongoing, just like from now on, after they get through these miniseries and like expand the universe even more. Plus, with Cobra Law, it gives us a little bit more weird stuff, which I'm always game for. I love the more straight one-to-ones from the original. I like the traditional military aspect of a lot of it, but also I really love the kind of weird stuff. Even the original classified line with their gold boots and their shiny laser guns, I didn't hate that. I thought it was a cool, unique take on them. So this kind of gives us that opportunity to go kind of split, so we can have both entities operating at the same time. We have, Larry on a book giving us new stories with a more grounded universe. And then also we have the Energon universe existing on its own, separate and like living its own life, breathing new characters into creation, or giving new life to characters that a lot of people thought were going to be gone. When you saw the solicitation for this book, there's probably not even a thought in your mind like, oh, this book's going to show off Globulus, Cobra Law, it's going to show off Pythona, it's going to show off like all of these things, plus with a tease for the Dreadnoks at the end of it. Like, it's just crazy to see how it all set up.
We know in advance from the cover to number 2 that Buzzer is featured prominently in this because he's like taking his blade right up against Cobra Commander's faceplate. It seems like I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they've laid out a lot of groundwork for where they want this story to go. They're thinking very far into the future, and that these little mini series will save them a lot of time. It's all stuff that they don't have to tell. This doesn't have to be part of Void Rivals anymore. You will be expected to know this going into it. And I think that's the hope with whatever, whatever's going on the Transformer side of thing. It'll be the same thing by the time we see whoever, Starscream, the one Transformer I can name now, we'll understand, why he's there, how he got there, etc. I have been reading that Transformers book, but I am behind. So I have to do a little bit of catching up on that. It's a lot. This is a lot of G.I. Joe stuff to read all at once. To echo your sentiment as we wrap up, I think it makes perfect sense. The Larry Hama book is for diehard enthusiasts that like military themed books. It's kind of not fair to not have something for the other people that like the cartoon, the fantasy, the unrealistic aspect of it. It is an interesting turn of fate that this universe is the closest thing to a classified continuity that we've seen so far in a toy line that has no file cards, almost no online interface, no cartoon. This is the closest thing we've gotten to a continuity for these guys, which means your Cobra Commander, your classified Cobra Commander, is from Cobra Law, baby, and that's canon, and you can't do anything about it. But we saw that they had leaked a name for Nemesis Enforcer as coming in the classified line. That's the Cobra Law figure. So I mean, yeah, don't be surprised if we see this is a very popular book, at least right out of the gate. That will definitely, I feel, influence them. A Python is certainly a possibility. A Cobra Law Guard is not an impossibility. Maybe even a Deluxe Globulus someday. That would be wild to see. We will watch the animated movie soon, Jaren. I am excited to watch it with you because, one, I love it, and it seems like the older I get, the more I enjoy it. And two, I know you will love it because it's dumb as hell, and that is basically your specialty. So we will put that on the docket sometime very soon. I mean, very, very soon. We'll put that on our list to watch, and it will be a fun time. I love watching the movie. I've seen it so many times. We'll be back in 2 short weeks. We're going to be talking about Kentuckiana Prep. We've got Winterfest coming up. I'm very excited. I'm very behind on making my checklist basically of what I need and what I'm going to get. I did do a little shopping beforehand like I always do, but not much. I'm trying to keep it in the pocket until I actually get there. I look forward to talking to you guys with that. You can reach out to us on social media. You can find Jaren on Instagram and me at Twitter. That's both at Anything Joe's Pod. You can write us an email at anythingjoespod@gmail.com or anythingjoespodcast@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. Are you reading these Skybound Entertainment books at all? What are your thoughts on them? Where do you think it's going? Where do you hope it's going? Feel free to share it there or comment here in the YouTube. And while you're there, like and subscribe because I forget to say that every time. And that's it. We look forward to talking to you again in just 2 short weeks, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.
Dead stop, Jaren on his toes. Watch me going like a whole new world you never know. On my freaking block, on my block, Anything Joe's. Roll my badger into work today. Yes, sir. No, sir. I can't call this work today. I'm too clutch. Ain't no pun intended. Call me sir today. Check the prices out. My collection feeling bird today. In this game since 83. You fools ain't the same as me. You frontin'. All these other Joes ain't who they claim to be. Yeah, just the average Joe. That's why Cobra hating me. Yeah, boy, I'm Snake Eyes. That's why Scarlet dating me. I'm gung ho. Louisiana love me, baby. Sunbow. Yeah, the hero was me, baby. Storm Shadow. Yeah, that's why y'all fear me, baby. Got a lot of Joes. You got none. Come and share me, baby. G.I. Joe. Got my comic book. Watching cartoon episodes. Watch me go in box.